This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money, and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by AuthorU and the Book Shepherd. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, it's the top of the publishing day to all of you, and I know it's officially spring, but I do believe Phil, the groundhog, has lied, because it's cold here. I'm based in Colorado. I know my guest today has the polar vortex coming in, and it is nippy out in a lot of areas of the country, but our show will be hot because what we're going to be doing is really expanding on a lot of the areas with publicity, with PR, and my guest today has a huge expertise in not only creating hot, sizzling, get the attention press releases, but he also knows a frickin' lot about the internet because he was one of the key players when AOL launched a gazillion, I don't know how many years ago at this point, but a gazillion years ago, he was on the forefront of what was to come with how people were going to start interacting with communications as we all do today. So with me is Dan Janal, and he wrote his first book about the internet marketing back 20 years ago, 17, no, maybe closer to 20 years ago, in the early 90s. He's been pushing the boundaries and trying to see how to sell more books with less effort, which makes him one of the author's best friends. His latest book is called Reporters Are Looking for You, which is going to be our topic today. How do we snag them? How do we hook them? How do we lure them in? And how do we keep them in place? So more than 15 years ago, he was the first person to offer a PR service to match reporters with authors who are looking for publicity. And for you to find it, all you have to do is go to prleads.com. So let's check in with Dan Janal. Welcome him to AuthorU, your guide to book publishing. And we're going to see what are his latest experiments that he's done and implemented that will show you how to sell more books successfully and with, I'm not going to say by the truckload or boatload. Let's just talk about consistently on a day-to-day basis. I think that's a doable, reachable thing. Hi, Dan. How are you?
Doing great, Judith. Thank you. It's raining here in Minneapolis, but at least it's not snowing.
Yeah. Yes, but you do have the polar vortex coming in. I was reading about it this morning.
I will take ample precautions. Thank you. That's why I listen to your show, to find out what's new and coming on that I didn't even know about. So thank you for that.
Well, there you go. You've got it coming. All right, so let's just kind of jump in. And again, I want to tell everyone Dan's latest book, which I'm going to encourage all of you to get, is called Reporters Are Looking for You, and that's going to be kind of that theme to how do we bring them in. And so let's just kind of jump on that. That I know that authors like to piggyback their books into breaking news stories. I call that newsjacking. What's new, improved, and what should we be looking for now, Dan?
Well, the important thing to remember is that reporters don't want to write about you. They want to write about something that helps their audience. And if you can provide the bridge for what you're doing to what reporters are looking for to help their audience, then they're interested in writing about you. So you call it newsjacking. That's really a new term for what us old-timers were called piggybacking onto the news. So, let's say that a leader got fired from a big company. When you're a leadership expert and you wrote a book about leadership, you could immediately call your local reporter and say, hey, I can give you ideas on how leaders can succeed or why this leader failed. So you'd be jumping onto that news story. And that's really important because now the reporter is interested in you, and they will reward you by quoting you, and more importantly, putting your book in there, because they want to make you look good. At this point, you're their friend, so they when they quote you, they have to give you an attribution. They have to make you look big and powerful and successful. That makes their story look good. So you can promote yourself by saying you're the author of the book. So that's why you want to do piggybacking or newsjacking, as it's called today. In fact, I'm thinking, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
And with that piggybacking, actually, I like piggyback. It's like saying catty corner when I'm trying to describe something. That also dates me. When I'm giving directions, we're catty corner to this. That the idea of that also is when you're trying to enhance and help their story, is that it does, and you do happen to have the book that will add the flavor of the day, is that it does reinforce your own branding and your expertise, which is certainly what it's about.
Most definitely. So there are a couple of ways you can do this. Number one is you set up a Google alert, or you read your newspapers or your trade magazines if you're looking for a targeted audience, and you see what the trends are, and you just, when something breaks, you just get on the phone or get on Twitter and start contacting reporters and saying, hey, I can help you provide information for this story. That's a traditional way of doing it. So, you need to have research done beforehand. Which are the papers or media outlets that are read or viewed by your target audience? And then who actually writes those stories? So let's say Forbes is one of your target magazines, or the Huffington Post.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who at those publications writes about your topic, whether it be leadership or romance or economics or relationships or communication or whatever, who writes about that? And if you can start a relationship with them before the news breaks, so much the better. And that's pretty easy. You just send them a quick email, says, hey, I've written a book on this topic. If you ever need an expert to quote on this topic whenever there's breaking news, please feel free to call me, and I'll stop what I'm doing and give you the quote so you can meet your deadline. And sometimes, they'll get back to you, and sometimes they'll just file it. But it's a very easy, non-threatening first step to do. And then when the news breaks, you just go to your Rolodex there, I guess you can't say Rolodex anymore, but you go to your address book and you start writing to these reporters and say, hey, so-and-so got fired. Well, here are 5 tips on what leaders can do to not get fired, or to lead good teams, or to ensure their jobs, or how to hire a new leader, or whatever your take on it happens to be. And that's how you'll become more valuable to the reporter, because you're helping them write the story.
I have actually a couple of questions. I was going to give you an add-on thing that another really good alert that I found was quite good was called Tech Walker that worked, TECH, Tech Walker. And a lot of people, Dan, don't know that they think of USA Today, which you and I both know is one of the, certainly the top print that's out there that's across the country. And I don't know a producer that doesn't have it on his or her desk when they're looking for things. But a lot of authors don't know that you can get an app on your mobile, and that USA Today has breaking news now, so that they are staying current all the time instead of blasting out just a publication in the early morning hours. Did you know that?
I didn't know about that service, but there are a number of great electronic services now that do that and other things as well. So I always check Facebook, because on the right-hand side of Facebook, they'll show you what stories are trending. I always find out which celebrities are dying when I look at that. Not about Patty Duke that way. So, that's horrible. But if you wrote a book about mental health or parenting or bipolar, and you found out that Patty Duke had died, bingo, that's
Yes.
a perfect story, because she was associated with all of those causes. So that's another way. You could also search Google just by setting up Google
Right.
Trends. Google has a trend service as well that will notify you about what's hot or what people are actually searching for, so you can see what's hot there too.
All right, and so that's the trend service is different from the Google Alert?
Yeah, exactly.
Ah.
Just type Google Trends. See, no one knows everything. We all know a little bit of the puzzle.
Yeah.
We get together on a show like yours, and we trade tips and tricks
I know.
and tactics, and we all become so much smarter. So that's what I love about going on your show.
Well, I think that's a great idea. So, all of you, your first big tip, besides You want to develop relationships from the get-go. And so I've always believed if you read an article, and whatever your service is, that whatever you're reading online or in print, that often that they will add the email or contact information for the person who is the author of the column or the article. And I believe in sending out kudos, and drop them a quick note and just tell them what you really like so they start recognizing your name. Relationships are really important. I think they're number one. So when you become the go-to person, or when you have something, they might figure out a way to squeeze you into something. So send out kudos. I
agree with that completely. That is great advice. Everyone is quick to criticize a reporter, but if you send a note that says, hey, I really liked your article, and, don't just blow smoke up their butt, just I liked your article because, and then they know that you're really serious and you're not just some spammer, and then offer yourself as a source. I really liked your article because it showed why XYZ happened. I particularly liked it because I've written a book about this topic, and if you should ever need more information about this on any breaking story, or if you'd like to see a copy of my book to review, please let me know. I'd be happy to help. So it's a very nice segue.
Yeah, exactly. I just had an example yesterday where I was reading one of Mark Coker's, who we've had on the show several times, who is a founder of and CEO of Smashwords, and he just did a trip to Cuba and trying to deal with some of the embargo issues and opening it up for publishing, which, I think sounds like a grand idea to me. You cannot believe the comments, negative, outrageous, political comments that he was getting on his blog. And I know Mark, but I just had to, we ended up with maybe a 10 email exchange talking about what was going on in his column going on. So that's how you develop relationships. He instantly responded to me, and it was like, I was feeling his pain. I was totally in it.
Yeah, there's so many internet trolls out there. It seems like I read articles every day in the media about how people just let down their guard and they say things they would never say face-to-face in public.
Shocking.
So that's another reason why a positive message to a reporter on their blog or their Twitter feed or in their email or in the comments section of the articles they do write can really stand out.
Critical. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Dan Janal is with us, and we're going to come back with you and start telling you about formulas and how you can connect with reporters. This is Judith Briles. It's AuthorU, your guide to book publishing.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Give your book the best shot at getting buzz before it's even released. JKS Communications has been leading the book publicity industry for more than a decade. From producing some of the earliest book trailers to recently creating what Shelf Awareness calls the world's longest book tour, our team of publicists work tirelessly, smart, and with the goal of getting you the best attention possible. Our family of publicists come from journalism and publishing backgrounds with great experience and a passion for books. And our family of authors all across the globe are supportive of one another. We read your book and talk to you to understand your goals and lifestyle before sending you a proposal. We only represent books and authors that we believe in. Let's get going. Go online at jkscommunications.com.
Is there a book in you or another? AuthorU will show you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you'll find a supportive and brainstorming community that's connected and creative no matter where you live. AuthorU brings in national experts for its book camps and annual author extravaganza held each May. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. books. Through AuthorU's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. The Resource, its online book publishing news magazine, is content-heavy and it's free. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, AuthorU is for you. If you're a hobbyist or a casual author, it's not. Join AuthorU today through its website at AuthorU.org. Follow AuthorU on Twitter at AuthorU and on Facebook at AuthorU, where timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted daily. AuthorU, where the author goes to become seriously successful.
First impressions are everything in the world of book publishing. Whether your book is an ebook, a print version, or both, your book cover needs to pop, sizzle, and sparkle to immediately capture the attention of your audience. And your book's interior needs to be just as dynamic and reflect the professionalism your readers demand. Nick Sellinger of NZ Graphics has won numerous national and international book awards for his cover designs and interior layouts. With over 20 years of experience in graphic design, he knows what it takes to create award-winning books and the many promotional pieces that authors need, such as posters, banners, postcards, one-sheets, business cards, logos, and more. Visit ncgraphics.com and see what authors and publishers have to say about their award-winning books and how NZ Graphics can make your book the success it was meant to be. That's nzgraphics.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
With me today is Dan Janal, who is the visionary brains behind PRLeads.com. And I always like to listen to our many sponsors. And you know what? I want you, all of you, to know that these sponsors we have vetted. And as we just came into this segment, I heard the one I was listening to Nick Zellinger of NZ Graphics, and I'm so excited because Nick is laid out my book that will be available, which you can find now on Amazon. You can pre-order it, which is How to Avoid 101 Book Publishing Blunders, Bloopers, and Boo-Boos. And it's so much fun. It's got the sheepy guys back. It's 4-color. It's illustrated. It's the book. It actually came in and packed in at 336 pages, but they're little pages. I promise you, little pages that you can get through because it's a 5x7, and that Nick really has just a flair for when he does design. So all of our sponsors, I'm going to encourage you, tap into them, use them, because they will make your day as an author and your book's day shine. And with that, Dan and I were having a little conversation afterwards during the break where we going in, because I was asking you some things about Huffington Post, and we started going along about Oprah. And I've been on Oprah several times when she had her regular show, not the Soul Sunday that she does now. And Dan had posed a question many years ago saying, does being on Oprah sell books? And the reality is, if it's just a one-shot pony, it doesn't. Would you still concur with that, Dan?
Yeah, I would. And you think about it logically, from the reader's point of view or the viewer's point of view, no one turns on Oprah and says, gee, I hope there's an author on the show today who has a book about this particular topic because I have this particular problem. They go on Oprah because they like Oprah. She's entertaining. They know they're going to learn something. But frankly, if you're on the show once, you're a mind blip. You go in one ear and out the other. And you don't really sell any books. There are dozens and dozens of people I know in the National Speakers Association, people who've written high-quality books, who speak to large corporations or large associations, and they go on Oprah and they think their fortune will be made, and in reality they don't sell any books at all because people aren't there to buy books. On the other hand, if Oprah gets behind your book and really pushes it, and like Wally Lamb's book and a number of other books, she can really turn a nobody into somebody overnight. Well, I can't say overnight. It takes many repetitions. Because again, people aren't watching Oprah to say, "Gee, I wonder what book I should read." They're going to say, "How am I going to get ahead of my business? How am I going to take care of my kids? What am I going to make for dinner?" And then she's talking about a book. But if she says it enough times,
it's a credential. I'll tell you, when I was really aggressively doing the national media, the person who I felt was the single best in promoting books was Phil Donahue. And I was on his show so many times. Number one, he treated his guest, he honored his guest. He honored them. But that when he got behind a book, he would literally hold it up. I remember with my divorce book that I wrote back in the mid-'80s, he said, if you're getting married, if you're thinking of getting married, or you're in a marriage that just isn't working, you need this book. And it's just like, yow!
Yeah, that's great. I've heard great things also about Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert being able to sell books, because they gave really thoughtful interviews, and it was 5-7 minutes long. But unfortunately, those shows have passed into history in the last few months, and I don't know if Trevor Noah can replace that with the ability to sell books. I know he has a lot of authors on now.
And Colbert's new deal on where he took over for Letterman doesn't have that skill. It just doesn't do it now with that. But we digress. Let's go off to, you can see Dan and I are old timers here. That one of the things, the questions we need to look at is there any kind of proven formula to convince them to write about your book? So Dan, your experience?
Oh, most definitely. There are tried and true methods to get the reporter's attention. And frankly, you can use these methods to write your own articles, because today everyone is a publisher themselves. The Internet is the world's largest printing press, and everyone on it is a publisher. Whether you publish on your own blogs or vlogs or YouTube channel or Twitter or Facebook, you can bypass the media and tell your story directly to the world. And one of the most successful formulas for that is the how-to article. How to make money in your sleep, how to get a raise at the office, how to find the perfect soulmate. Those are great articles that always get read. The other formula that's tried and true is 10 ways, 10 tips. 10 tips to making money, 10 tips to finding your soulmate. People love those things. In fact, if you look at many of the most popular websites, they're nothing but listicles, little articles that have 10 ways to do whatever, or lifehack.com is one of the great ones for that. I read it every day. It's just so fascinating because they're nice, quick little tips and bits, and people love reading those things. Another great formula is why blanks fail, why leaders fail, why marriages fail, and then you can set yourself up as the expert on leadership or marriages or relationships or whatever, because everyone wants to know why did this fail. People are attracted to that sort of train wreck or car wreck kind of headline. Reporters are as well. So if you send them an article like that, that could inspire them to write an article about that and include you or make you the main source in that article.
So we're talking about literally fill in the blank. So when you look at the how in your how-to or your 10 tips to blah, 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 that's your blank, or that when you're dealing with 10 ways to blah, 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 it's a fill in your blank. And I love using the idea of fail in here, Dan. Why blank, blank fails. So now to tie it back into, if you're a nonfiction author, you should be able to fill this kind of stuff in blindfolded. Why diets fail, why eating oranges 12 times a day will ruin your health. Why, and also don't be afraid to be outrageous. Isn't that true, Dan, in some of your headlines here?
Oh, that's so true. Being outrageous or being contrarian. Some of my best or most successful clients with my PR lead service, they take the exact opposite view of what the reporter is looking for. They say, what can, how much money should you give your kids for an allowance? And I might have one of my clients write back and say, you shouldn't give your kids an allowance at all because they should whatever. And they go and they espouse their point of view. So the contrarians get picked up, Of course,
Sure.
don't say anything that you don't want to or doesn't make sense. If you have ideas that the reporter wants, go ahead. But if you disagree with the reporter, they love that too because they want to tell every side of the story, and they want to make their stories controversial and interesting too. So if you can provide that quirk, that difference, that will make you stand out from everyone else who says, yeah, it's a great idea, give them between $1 and $5 or $10 or whatever. Say, no, don't give them any money at all. It's like, what? That's news. That's a man bites dog.
Well, it's perfect. It says, why giving your kid an allowance will make them a loser as an adult. I'm like, whoa, what?
Whoa.
Whoa.
You have a flair for this, Judith. That's great.
Write that one down. Use that one. May have nothing to do with your book, but what the heck. All right. So, and then is there a technique? Because this is, I was sharing with you, I've been a resource sometimes, and I had that one time with Time Magazine. Boy, they grilled me, and I had delayed, actually, missed a plane to do this bloody interview, and the article was about my expertise topic, what my doctoral work is why women undermined other women. Never got quoted. I saw my lines in there that I said to this reporter, how do you prevent that from happening?
Well, it's almost impossible. I think you have to go in there with the frame of view that most reporters are going to give you credit because they want to make you look good. They want to give their stories credibility. And by quoting you instead of quoting them, they make you the expert. And frankly, that if there's any criticism, then you get the criticism, not the reporter. So if the reporter steals your idea and says, hey, I think X, Y, Z, and then they get attacked. If they say, Judith Briles thinks XYZ, then the comments are about Judith. So I think reporters who have credibility and know how the game is played would always want to quote you. That's pretty much an ethical consideration. But there could be some people who, the problem with social media today and the new journalism is that they did not go to journalism school. They do not know the ethics and the mores that I learned when I went to Northwestern and I was a journalism student and I worked for newspapers, and we think differently, we research more, we get more attribution, and today's reporters or bloggers don't use those same standards, and they might think that, gee, someone sent me this information, I'll just use it and won't attribute it. But I think that's rarer, but it definitely does happen.
It happens. It does happen. All right, we're gonna take another quick break. When we come back, I have asked Dan to dig into, does it make sense to pay for ads to promote yourself and your book? And we're going to be looking at Facebook. So that's coming up. Stay tuned. Dan Janal, the visionary of PR Leads, is with me. And you want to find also more information at pressreleasesender.com. We'll be right back.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Want to publish like a pro today? Well, then take a look at Ingram Spark, the only publishing platform that offers print and ebook services through a single source. Upload, edit, and manage titles all in one place. Take more control of printing costs with print on demand, and reach even more readers through one of the world's most extensive distribution networks. Built by independent publishers for independent publishers, Ingram Spark has everything you need to maximize your book's potential: color printing, ebook distribution, print on demand, global reach, and more. Start publishing with Ingram Spark today and see just how far your titles will go tomorrow. That's ingramspark.com.
Many of us have dreamed of writing a book.
Some of us even have.
Then hard work starts.
You'll need an editor.
Who will design the cover or typeset the pages?
Who will format the ebook?
If you're a business owner, consultant, or coach with a serious message and expertise to share, the team of experts at 1106 Design can guide you through the maze.
They've helped more than 1,000 authors create top-quality books and avoid the not-so-reputable self-publishing companies.
Learn more at 1106design.com.
Then call Michelle at 602-866-3226. 1106 Design.
Ned Thompson and Harry Shore started Thompson Shore in 1972, they believed employees with great character would make up the best company. They were right. They hired people who were not only experts in bookmaking, but who were obsessed with quality and delivering exceptional customer service. Almost 40 years later, Thompson Shore remains a 100% employee-owned company. Ned and Harry knew that successful customer projects are a direct result of empowered employees. We specialize in all books for large and small publishers. Creating beautiful and well-made books, we're dedicated to pleasing our customers by making the experience a good one from start to finish. The personal touch we have with our customers allows us to be innovative in solving their most difficult challenges. Our platform also ensures that we can remain flexible to meet our customers' unique needs and expectations. Our marketing kit can create buzz for your title, enhancing the promotion of your book during infancy. When you need to test the market to gauge your future sales, we can provide digitally printed books that will transition seamlessly into a larger offset run. From ebook to hard copy to delivery, our skillful customer service teams are at the ready to answer your most pressing question. At Thompson Shore, we know that making the highest quality books requires more than just best technologies. It requires superior customer service, professionalism to the trade, and commitment to environmental and social values. With these standards of excellence in place, you can be sure that we will always help you put your best book forward.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
You know, one of the things I'm going to suggest to everyone that you do some late night TV watching or some Sunday morning watching, because infomercials are great ways to see how people pitch. And when you're reaching out to reporters and media or producers and things, it's a pitch. And learning how to pitch is so critical. I cannot accent that enough here. But there's a pitch involved, and bringing it in, there's emotional tie-in, and actually a lot of the nutsiness has gone along in the political campaign has got all the emotional juices just gyrating in every which way. And that's really what you have to do when you're thinking about creating ads. You've got to appeal to the emotional side. So, Dan, I would love to have some of your intake. What about keywords? What about phrases? Are there critical words that authors should be using if they're thinking about ads, whether they're doing them verbally or in print?
Oh, most definitely. I've been spending a lot of time lately running Facebook ad campaigns for authors, fiction authors as well as nonfiction authors. And I've learned quite a few things, trial by fire. But some things work really well and some things don't work. First of all, when you're designing your ad, especially, and I'm going to limit this to Facebook, because Facebook gives you so many more options than, say, Google. Plus, it's a lot cheaper than Google. Everyone knows about Google, and therefore it's very expensive. Facebook is not used so much for advertising, so the advertising rates are a lot less. So there's your first tip. You can probably save a lot of money by going to Facebook. Now, if you one of the things about Facebook is that people are looking for pictures. They're looking for pictures of cat videos, or dogs doing fancy tricks, or their kids or grandkids, or their relatives and stuff like that. So it's a very visual medium. So if you have a picture in your ad, you're halfway home because people think it's part of what they're looking for. So it could be a picture of you, or it could be a picture of your book. I found that to be pretty effective as well. And then, so that's the first visual. The second element, of course, is the headline. Every ad has a headline. And we found, not just me, but again, the research I've seen as well. I belong to a number of forums for advertisers and whatever, and we discuss lots of things. And a lot of people are, running tests with thousands and thousands of ads, and we've seen what works. And the kind of headline that works is the question headline. So, are you suffering from whatever, bipolar or depression or whatever, any kind of question kind of headline will immediately draw more attention than a positive headline or a question that's more of a declarative sentence, like 10 ways to defeat depression. So a question just reels them in. Then, of course, there's a little bit of copy, and the copy could say, download our free report to learn how to, and then fill in the blank, find your soulmate, or cure depression, or, relieve anxiety, or reduce stress, or whatever. And the beauty of Facebook ads is that they give you calls to action. They are part of the built-in format of the ad. So you can pick one of their pre-chosen answers like download now, or learn more, or buy, which is really great. So there's absolutely no confusion here. You want them to buy a book. So I've done a number of studies with, again, authors of every stripe, fiction, nonfiction authors. And what I'm finding is kind of revealing and, in fact, in some ways distressing. I'll be totally honest here, because you and I have known each other for a long time. We tell each other the truth. I'm not here to sell anything. I'm here to just give information, and, we'll see where it goes. And the idea here is that, I've done a number of ads for authors, and we take them to Amazon. And surprisingly, people are not buying the books. I can't imagine why, because we're showing the ad to a specific audience. So it's not like we're showing this to just anyone in the world. People who are seeing this ad have been targeted. They're doctors, they're lawyers, they're making X number of dollars, they have 3 kids, they live in a certain geographic area, whatever. We have targeted these people specifically, so they're the only ones going and seeing the ad, so we know that we have the right audience. And now, once we have the right audience, they're reading the ad. They're saying, this is for them. This is their, are you a mother who's suffering from depression after just having your 3rd baby? Hey, they say, that's me. And there's a little bit of copy that explains, read this book and find out how to overcome your problems. So they know it's a book, and they know it's for sale because it says, buy now. So there's absolutely no deception whatsoever. Then they go to Amazon to buy the book. And, of course, Amazon is the most trusted website in the world. There's no question. But people aren't buying the books. I'm trying to think out, why aren't they buying books? Well, is it because they could find it cheaper? No, because Amazon always has a discount on books. Is it because there's no social proof? No, there are always going to be testimonials for the book. You and your friends and your author and your readers have written testimonials, so there's credibility there. Is it because they don't know who the author is? No, because there's the author bio page, so you can tell who you are and your background and all that good stuff, and even import your blog and your videos to show your credibility in this topic. So why aren't people buying books? And I realize there are 2 things that Amazon does not do well. Number 1 is scarcity. So this goes back to your whole idea of pitching on TV and everything. There's no scarcity. If I want to, think about buying a cookbook, well, there's going to be that cookbook is going to be available next week. They're never going to run out of these cookbooks. They can always print more. In fact, with Amazon and Kindle and whatever, there's print on demand. There's electronic versions. There's no limit here. And the other idea is that there's no time limit. I can buy the book this week. I can buy it next week. I'm really not under any pressure. So we're finding that people don't buy books, which is really, really scary. So when what we're finding now is that I'd rather take people to a landing page on my website and have them download the first chapter of a book. This way, I'm building a relationship with them. I could be asking for their email address and their name to build a database so I can send emails to them on a regular basis, say, hey, did you read the first chapter? What did you think? Hey, I written the 2nd chapter. Would you like to see it? Or we're having a discount on the book today, or whatever. Form a relationship with the person. And especially if you're doing nonfiction, then you can send them additional tips on whatever your topic happens to be and build relationships. And say, sure, I'll buy the book. So we're finding that is working better. So you might want to take people to your website. Again, to repeat, you take people to your website, offer them a free chapter of the book. That free chapter download can include sales material as well. Like after they read the first chapter, click here to buy the book, click here to buy it on Kindle, whatever, and then they're taken right back to the Amazon page where they can buy the book. But I think we need that 2-step process or that multi-step process in order to make the sale of a book, because people just aren't buying books the way we expect them to. It's completely counterintuitive. But again, I don't think you can do a better job than what Amazon is doing in terms of it's a trusted site. Every page looks the same, so there's no usability issues. We all know how to buy from Amazon, and yet 1 out of every 30 people or so buys the book when I run an ad, which doesn't pay for the ad, frankly. So
no, it doesn't. So,
tactic.
Okay, here's an idea. So if you create that mini landing page, with simple, and you offer the goodie, whether it's a free chapter to read before they can really decide, then you have the hot link that goes to Amazon. It seems to me, you can do this if on any other place, why not on Amazon, that if they go to Amazon to buy it, then what you could say, you could say to it, now go to Amazon and buy, or wherever you're going to send them, buy the book. And because one of the authors, they always want, Dan, to people buy it off of their website, because then they get all the money versus the discount. And I always say, for God's sakes, get over this stuff. But that you send them to Amazon. When they close the Amazon, you can make it redirect, with your own data where you set that page up, that they automatically come back to your page. And maybe you can offer them, you can tell them, here's a free chapter, go to Amazon or where it is to get the book, and then come on back here, and I have, a cheat sheet for you that will blah, 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 or 10 tips to blah, 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 as a gift.
Yeah, I love that idea. One of my clients said, well, how will I know if they've really bought the book? And I was saying, well, you're right, but on the other hand, it's a digital product. It doesn't cost you anything, and we have to do something to just spice it up to get them to take action now. Otherwise, they're gone forever. So I love your idea. I think it's fantastic.
So I would send them to Amazon, but when they close that Amazon and they do it, tell them as soon as you buy, click off of Amazon and come back, and I have one more special gift for you. And that's, we got to play here and make that work a little bit, but it's a challenge. So, Dan, I have a question. What is the cost range of an ad? We have 1 minute before we have our final break, but what would be a kind of a cost range?
Oh, you can set your own budget per day for Facebook, and Facebook, like Google, does it on a auction basis. So you may say, I want to put a limit of 20 cents or 50 cents, and they will honor that. But I found if you want to get play, anywhere from 50 cents to $1.25 for an ad, but most of the time around 50 to 55 to about 75 cents per click. Now this is important, per click, not per impression. So we're actually paying for activity. So if 10,000 people see your ad and they don't do anything, you don't pay a penny. But if one person clicks through, then you're paying the 50 cents or $1 or so. And you can set your budget limit each day. So you can say, I'll play $10 a day on this per week and see if it works. And if it does, great. If it doesn't, you're only out $50 or $70. So it's no big deal.
Exactly. All right, we're going to take a final break here. Dan Janal of PRLeads.com is with me today, and also there's press releases. So go to pressreleasesender.com. We'll be right back.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
The book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and a guide to partner with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand, and is a financial success, a bestseller. It's your choice. You choose. You need the book shepherd. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You don't need problems. You want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and the chaos. At times, she's had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher or by a publishing service provider, or sometimes even the author themselves. Judith Briles is the book shepherd if you want to create a book with no regrets. Give her a call today. 303-885-2207. That's 303-885-2207. Or email her at judith@briles.com. By the way, Briles is spelled B-R-I-L-E-S. Follow Judith on Twitter at MyBookShepherd and on Facebook at The Book Shepherd.
One of the most important decisions you will ever make is your choice for printing your book. You are choosing a company which will be responsible for guiding you through the process and printing your book at a level of quality and detail that embraces your personal and creative needs. You want to choose a company that when your book finally arrives, you are delighted and ready to move on to the next level, and one that is customer focused. Choose King Printing Company and Addy Books to be that company that brings you to the next level. Go to kingprinting.com or call 978-458-2345 and ask for Tom Campbell.
At Total Printing Systems, customer service is our priority. We are located in Southern Illinois. Our employees have an average of 18 years experience and know that customer relationships are important to our continued success. We have been a short-run book printer for nearly 40 years and always stay at the forefront of technology. Our niche is from 1 to 5,000 copies. Today, we offer digital, black and white, and 4-color high-speed inkjet printing, a cost-effective way to introduce color into your short-run titles. We, of course, offer traditional offset printing as well. Bindery is done in-house, from adhesive case binding to PUR perfect binding to mechanical binding of all types, including side sewing. We provide warehousing, kitting, distribution, inventory management, a new print-on-demand facility, streaming browser-based ebooks, and bookstore. Call us at 1-800-465-5200 for a quote on your next book project. You can also visit our website at www.tps1.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
So we were talking about Facebook ads and things, and I wanted to give you a link on Dan's page website. If you go to PR Leads and then put PR Leads to profits.com, PR Leads, that's plural, to profits.com /Facebook-special. You'll get more information on some of the things he does. But, Dan, before we leave Facebook, because I want to talk about press releases, because I think it's important to do that, what would you say, really, in your experience, the single biggest mistake you see authors do with ads?
The biggest mistake Facebook authors make with ads is probably manage their budget. They probably spend too much too soon, thinking the whole world is going to love their ad. And in reality, we are not our buyers. That's something that Dan Kennedy told me.
Amen.
And I so respect that, because we think, we went to college, we have advanced degrees, we've been in the publishing industry. We think everyone, we're wrong. Our audience is not us. We don't know what they will actually buy or what words will turn them on. So we need to test different ads. We need to test different pictures. We need to test different headlines. We need to test different calls to action. And that's why I want to advocate spending only $10 a day on an ad, because you can see what works and what doesn't work really, really fast. So another Dan Kennedy saying is fail fast. And Facebook lets you fail fast. You can see what works and what doesn't work. And then when you find out what actually does work, then you can start rolling out the money and spending more. Because a friend of mine does webinars. He promotes his webinars on Facebook. And he spends about $2,000 on ads, but he makes about $7,500 on the sales that he makes from those webinars. So I think the webinar itself is free, but he sells a consulting package as the upsell from that. So it's very effective for that. But, again, he didn't find out what really worked until he spent a few $100s and figured out which headlines worked and which headlines didn't work. So test, guard your money. Once you find out what works, he'll spend $2,000 every month to make $7,500. You would too.
Right. So all of you need to understand formulas that Dan was referring to earlier in the show, that when you have the how-to, you have why, fill in the blank, something fails, not to be afraid to be contrarian, controversial, even quirky. And then, I don't know, Dan, if you've used this. One of my favorite headline tweakers is, tweakyourbiz.com, play around with that content generator. Portent, PURTENT.com. Quirky, I love it. I play around with that, and I always check the emotional pull with AM Institute's headline analyzer. So, I would play with those kind of things, but always remember, and I've had testy arguments with exchanges with some of my clients as the book shepherd, where they keep forgetting that they're not the buyer, they're the expert, and that it's the buyer, the emotional grab that's going to bring them in, and that's what you've got to address. And it's critical. So let's jump to press releases. We've got about 10 minutes here that we can get into. And I guess the first question is, do they still work?
Yes, as a matter of fact, they do. And I think every blogger in the world who does anything about PR has written a blog saying, press releases don't work. And I have to laugh. What they're really doing is that they're selling their own service, and they're trying to make press releases look like the bad boy. And in reality, press releases are the one tried and true medium that actually works time after time after time. We write our press releases in a certain way, and we send them out over PR Newswire so that they wind up in the right boxes, for reporters' boxes. And let me tell you one quick story about a guy named Mike Scortino. He's written a book called Gratitude Marketing, and he teaches financial analysts and stockbrokers and people like that how to get more business by showing gratitude to their clients. And believe it or not, gratitude marketing is a big, big topic. So, in fact, if you type gratitude marketing into Google, you'll find many, many resources. So here's one tip. When we write a headline for a press release, we say, new gratitude marketing book as the keywords in the very first part of the headline. And if you go to Google that day when the press release comes out, bingo, we're number one for that, whether it be new financial planning book or new dating book for women between 35 and 50 or whatever. It's an amazingly simple formula. It works every single time. So if you want to rise to the top of Google, write a press release, send it out over PR Newswire. We can do that for you for discounted rates because we buy in bulk from them and save you some money. But that formula works every time. And here's the follow-up from the idea, because people actually do read press releases. In fact, a number of bloggers contacted Mike and had him on the show. A number of trade journals in the personal financial industry contacted him as well to write articles and interview him. So he got a lot of play off of that press release. Now, are you going to wind up on the front page of the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal? No, most assuredly not. Will you sell 50,000 copies of your book? No, most assuredly not. But will this be one more successful marketing venture that will get you in the game and keep you in the game? Most definitely. If it didn't work, I wouldn't be doing it. And if it didn't work, my clients wouldn't be coming back month after month sending me new press releases to upload. So it must work, otherwise they'd be throwing their money away, and no one wants to do that. So I got to believe it works.
All right, and your services also, Dan, I mean, they could be writing their own press releases, but you also write them for them. Isn't that correct?
Oh, yeah. We have three different prices. If you know how to write a press release, or your sister-in-law's in PR, you can write the press release, and we can send it out over PR Newswire at our discounted rates, or we can write it for you, and we have two tiers. One is if you send us all your marketing materials, we know how to take all that, and it's easy for us to do. We can write it and send it out over PR Newswire. But some other people don't have a clue as to what to do, or they don't have their marketing materials ready, so we can provide some consulting for you on that and figure out what the right angle is, and then promote your book from that angle. So let's say you have a book that's already been out for a couple of years, and you say, what can promote? Well, we might use that piggybacking technique we talked about earlier and say, your book talks about 10 different things, but Chapter 5 is really hot right now, so let's work on that. And you'll say, gee, I didn't realize that. That's because you're too close to the situation.
Always.
We can look at it honestly and say, these are the hot topics. You had no idea that Chapter 5 was like exploding right now. Let's go on that. So for that extra consulting, we charge a little bit more, but we'll write the release, and you'll be happy because we know what we're doing.
All right. So if you were to identify a series of tips to make the stand out, we've got that first one, new blank 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 book. I got that. And that, do we go into, for example, the Google Trends, do the search, sign up for the Google Trends type situation to see if there's anything within your content, and then you lead with that in that first paragraph on your press release? Help me out here.
Okay. Well, the first idea is the search is working with the search engine. I don't say trick search engines. A lot of people say trick search engines. I don't want trick search engines. I want to work with their existing structure and make them happy. You know, if Google thinks you're tricking them, then you're sunk, because no one likes to get tricked. But if they say, gee, Google likes to index keywords, and they give a greater weight to the first three words in the sentence and the last three words in the headline, then that's what we want to do. And they also give more weight to the first paragraph. So beyond the first paragraph, forget it for Google, for SEO. You know, they just don't care. So tell your story right up front. So don't be terribly cute and have, you know, limericks for your first paragraph. Tell the people who, what, when, where, why, how it will benefit them, and Google will reward you because they'll know how to index it. The second key factor is to include information that helps the readers. So remember, the press release is not necessarily about you. Like, yes, it does have all the germane information, but if you have a book on why leaders fail, then let's have 5 tips on why leaders fail, or show 5 ways that 5 questions that readers will learn when they read the book, so they realize why their marriage won't fail. So give some tips in there, not just publishing data or your own background on how wonderful you are. You know, yes, you can weave that information in there, but you must have some news that people can use or tips that people can use, so they feel that their time is well spent because they've read your press release.
All right, so let me reiterate. You said one of your first tip was for Google, the first 3 words in your sentence, that first sentence, those are the critical ones? Is that what you said?
Let's say the headline, not just the sentence. I misspoke when I said
it's
that.
the headline.
The first 3 words in the headline, yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. So you better have your grabber keyword in there, people.
Right, and we're not stretching your creative bounds here. It's like new marketing book, new relationship book, new gratitude marketing book. You know, it can't be any easier. Yeah.
Perfect. Excellent. All right. We have like 30 seconds. One more tip here before we close off.
Okay. Put yourself in the minds of the reporter. Always think about how you can help them, and then they'll want to become your best friend.
Perfect. Help the reporter. All right. With me is Dan Janal. You can get more information at pressreleasesender.com. And then Dan's other website is prleads.com. Dan, we obviously have to have you back again. You're loaded with information, and our hour went really fast. Really fast.
Thank you. I'd love to come back. Thank you. You're a great interviewer.
Great. Thank you. All right, so everyone, lots going on. If you want to learn how to write a book in 4 weeks, my online course starts actually in April. So go to thebookshepherd.com, click on the events, join me because it's way fun, and you'll be amazed at what happens. And if you're in the Colorado area, come in person in May. All information is at thebookshepherd.com and just under the events. I'm Judith Briles. With me has been Dan Janal of PR Leads, and we'll see you next week on AuthorU, your guide to book publishing. Keep on writing and publishing.
Thank you for being a part of Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Each week,